Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a move! LeBron James with no regard for human life. Final seconds. Bryant for the win.
Iverson against Gill, the crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Sneaker History Podcast. We're coming live with an interview episode one of our listeners have become quite familiar with. We're sitting down today with Amir Armstrong. How you doing, Amir?
Doing well. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure, man. We've been trying to work this out, and I'm just really happy we got you to talk about yourself a little bit and a little bit about the brand you work for, One Diadora Footwear.
Yes, indeed.
Killer, man. I just want to say thank you, too. You hit me with this beautiful, like, Italian feeling. Like, I'm Italian, too, so, like, my roots feel like they're being watered with these gifts. And I really appreciate the jacket. I can't wait to start rocking that.
No problem. That's the least I can do, brother.
If people don't know, Diadora's out here killing it. Been making a resurgence over the past couple years. So we're going to hit you guys with a little bit of what Amir does, and then a little bit about the brand he works for, talk about some of the rich history of Diadora. From a runner's aspect, if you're a running fan or an avid runner, you're going to get something here to learn about some footwear. But just a fun-filled, action-packed episode. It's going to be lit.
It's going to be lit.
It's going to be it. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Like, I know you're from Philly. Where'd you go to school? How'd you get this? Like, how'd you find yourself being with Diadora? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so originally from the East Coast. Born in Philly, spent like the first 4 years of my life there. We ended up moving to a town called Sicklerville, New Jersey, which is about 30 minutes from Philadelphia. So a lot of back and forth throughout those years. But
Nets or Sixers?
Sixers. Nets is a North Jersey thing. South, I feel like South. There's definitely a split between South Jersey and North Jersey. It's like two different places.
So you moved to Jersey, but you're still strictly Sixers.
Strictly Sixers. I feel like it was like Philadelphia sports in my house. We don't eat. Like, okay. My father made that pretty clear.
There's no trying to be funny, trying to rep for the Knicks or nothing. There's
no, it's none of that. It's none of that goes down. No, my dad has instilled the Philadelphia sports. My family has over 100 years in Philadelphia. My father's side, my mother's originally from Panama, so having that rich history in the city, and also that kind of, as much as we live in Jersey, I feel like Philly shaped a lot of me playing ball. Of course, kind of being in the scene back when I was living out there. So it was definitely has a strong impact and a strong value in what I do.
Were you going back to Philly a lot? So you said it for hoops. So Amir's a baller. So you did some traveling teams and stuff. Like, was that based out of Philly or that based out of Jersey?
So what's crazy is I ended up I was playing travel basketball. Like I would say when I was in 6th grade. Like this is before like AAU was like big how it is now. Like we still had like the AAU membership cards and things like that.
Now it's a business.
Now it's legit business. And I was playing over a travel team in Winslow Township, which is pretty much a township within Sicklerville. And I played travel team probably maybe 3 or 4 years. When I got to 8th grade, I actually stopped playing travel basketball. And I would go and play with my uncle over in Philly. So we would play at Codge Creek. We had another league in Mill Creek, 48th and Brown. Then we played in another league in Ardmore. So we played in like 3 Philadelphia leagues.
Your uncles, this is a grown man. This isn't like.
This is no. This we were playing. It was a youth league, but we were like 14, so we always played up. We were like 14, but playing like 16-year-olds. But like the competition was crazy because this was all people that played like travel basketball. That were just trying to get a run in on the week. Like you played for your neighborhood. That's just what it was. And I mean, we was like 14 playing 16-year-olds, but we had a bunch of people from like Corey Irving All-Stars. Like that was an AAU team. Philly RBK All-Stars when they were big. So it was a really, really tight group of us. A lot of my teammates kind of went on to be, some have made like G League, one college, a couple of them big college stars in basketball. So like one, Sean Oakman, who played at Baylor, played with him. Another guy, Maurice Watson, he went over and played at Creighton. My cousin Akil, he turned out to be like a 6'6" guard. He ended up playing college ball, but like everybody on that team went on to play college ball. Dwayne plays over, I think he's playing over in Germany now. We just had like a loaded squad. It was crazy. When we were young playing up. So we got a couple chips under there though. It was a couple neighborhood chips, but I think that's where I kind of like crafted everything. So we was going over the bridge like 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes I'll spend the night over at my uncle's house and just wake up, eat breakfast, go throughout the summer and go play ball.
There's no stress, man. There's no bills. There's no, how's my car doing? None of that shit. Like, wake up, have some cereal, go hoop. Yeah. Life's good. So where'd you end up going to school? Like, what did you go to school for? Like, did any of that kind of play into where you are now?
Yeah, so I actually was a basketball. I played football, I played basketball. I like to say my father was the first person to like really be somebody to be on that kind of like concussion wave. I ended up getting a concussion. I got low bridged going up trying to dunk in like a scrimmage at this. We had this basketball camp. Somebody came and low bridged me. I was going into my 8th grade year and had a concussion. Told me to take it easy, like cleared me to play football. Ended up getting another concussion. My dad was like, "Nah." He was like, we're not doing this right now. We'll put you back. We'll, put you back, get you in the league or something in the fall, just so you're ready for travel ball. So I ended up getting another one. I had 3 concussions in like the span of like 4 or 5 months, and they were like freak. Like the last one was just like a freak accident, and everything like all the symptoms they say the concussions kick in when you start like throwing up.
I've had 1 or 2 in my life too.
Yeah. So it was nuts. So from there, I kind of had, my dad was like, yo, next level. Like I love playing football. I actually was pretty good, and just he was like, dude, can't do this. Just stick to basketball. So I ended up going to Camden Catholic. So I'm a product of Jersey private school ball, which is, everyone knows, is like a big thing. That's what New Jersey's known for.
Shout out J.R. Smith.
For real. I mean, we had a lot of talent came out of New Jersey, just even like in North Jersey farm system. So they produced a ton of athletes. I mean, you name it, Kyrie, Mike Gilchrist, Karl Anthony Towns, JR. We can go through everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we ended up. I was part of that team where we ended up winning the state championship. We were top 50 in the country. We were number 2 team in New Jersey at the time. This was my junior year. But actually, before that, my sophomore year, I got into running track. So I ended up, remember the first time, more specifically, I was a jumper. First time I triple jumped, that was like my thing. Somebody taught me the day before meet. Like, you're tall, you can do this, you can handle it. All right, boom.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped. It wasn't like anything like too crazy, but then somebody was like, oh, you had a couple feet on there, you become a state champion, blase, blase. And it's like, wow, like you can get money going to school for jumping in sand. This is great.
Yeah, right? It's not going to hit your head on. Chilling. Dad's happy.
Dad's happy, you know. He doesn't, and he can't critique me on anything because he doesn't know much about track.
Yeah,
you know,
you went far. Good
job. You know,
yeah.
I don't have to hear the long car rides home. Like, you should have did this in the game. Shit.
Yeah. Missed that box out, son. Like, what?
Damn, dude. But yeah. So I ended up running track from my sophomore year in high school to ended up getting some money to go to school. So my first school I went to was Delaware State University. Shout out to the HBCUs. If you don't know, historically Black colleges and universities. It's a big deal for me getting there. Ended up spending 2 years there and transferring to LIU. But it's a funny story. Before I transferred, I ended up breaking the triple jump record there. And it might still be there to this day. There's actually this stained glass picture. They were redoing the stained glass on the side of the student center. And they put me up there that summer that I was transferring. So when I left, there were people oh, who's that? He's still on the team? Like my old teammate and roommate was like,
I set this record in bounds. No.
Yeah.
Amir's gone.
Yeah, he would be like Brian. Shout out to my homie Brian Pointer. He's my old roommate and teammate, still one of my best friends. And he would just be like, yeah, he left. He's gone.
It's super funny you say that because I swam in college, and my senior year, they were redoing this wall too, and my face is plastered on the side of the wall. And I wasn't all that great. I mean, I was okay. But yeah, so that guy's gone. I was a year ago. But what did you then, what were you studying?
So I was studying sport management at Delaware State.
Okay.
Ended up transferring to Long Island University in Brooklyn. At the time, we were the LIU Brooklyn Blackbirds. Now they're the LIU Sharks because they combined the campuses. There I was studying sports science with a concentration in sport management. Of course, ran track there. That was amazing. We ended up got a couple conference championships under our belt. Made it to regionals. Some of my teammates made it to nationals.
So you know all about some people in footwear know how to sell a shoe, or they know the tech, but you know what a good shoe feel like. Underfoot what a good shoe should feel like. You're experienced.
100% from basketball, football to running. I mean, that's really what I loved, and just kind of like how I got into what I want to do. I knew I wanted to work in sports, or for a brand. I always kind of had that in mind. I just didn't know what exactly I wanted to do.
You keep your head straight and you play sports. This is in general a outstanding statement, but just you have more skills than probably you think you do, listener. You have wear test experience. You have maybe whatever other things you have going on in your life, but you can parlay what you're doing every day to a degree and parlay that into, a professional role. There's a lot of people that don't know what they don't know.
Yes, indeed.
So said sports management. A lot of people don't know that's even a thing you could major in. But it's like, if you're passionate sport and you play sport, and if you like shoes, and probably why you're listening to this, you can mix all those together and do something with the brand one day. So
that was like the best, like what you just said, it was like the best advice somebody gave me graduating my senior year in college. They told me, find everything that you're passionate in and marry it into a career. I was like, that. All right.
Especially now in 2020, bro, there's a career. If you like fucking take pictures of food, like you can be a food critic.
100%.
Go learn how to write. Go put the work in.
Yeah.
People think that they want to do something and then don't want to put the work in. You know, they want to sit back and just look at, man, that looks dope. Like, I can see myself doing that, but then put no work in. Like, you put the work in, you can make what's fun to you a fun career. But I mean, that's really important, because Diadora now is really killing it. Well, has been killing it in the performance shoe game. Like, I did a little bit of research before we got on the line here together, and it's on the top of a lot of different running magazines, and it's being spoken about.
Yeah.
So running's killing it now. Why don't you give us a little bit about like the history of the brand? Like, you know, the origins is something we could take away for somebody that isn't familiar with the brand.
Yeah. So Diadora, premium Italian brand. We were founded in 1948 by Marcello Danielli. He pretty much left at a certain age. He was younger. If you weren't going to school, you left pretty much find a craft so you can provide for your family. During that time frame, if you know history pretty well, it's around World War II. And there was a lot of things going on in terms of what was going on in the country. He ended up being a person that designed, and I shouldn't say designed, but created boots for soldiers. And at this time, like, I mean, soldiers were kind of like raving about like his craftsmanship. Richard, they're going in, just to tell you how crazy this is, they're going in the war, possibly could die. And they're like, wow, these boots are great, you know? So in 1948, he ended up founding a company with his wife, helped them launch mountain boots. That was something that they were pushing. They were pushing pretty hard, and from there it just took off. Skiing became pretty like a recreational sport. So they got into after ski boots, creating that market, because about 45 minutes north of Venice, about an hour and some change away from the Dolomites. So that type of terrain, you know. So definitely stayed true. We're in a town called Carano di San Marco in Italy. So that's where the company is headquartered at. But
you are so smooth with those Italian names.
I had a lot of practice, you know? So like he popped everything off for the brand, and I think just with the whole timing of everything, it worked out so great, because, you know, skiing became big in Italy. From there, you had a boom in soccer and tennis. Like, recreational sport became huge. On top of that, there was an economic boom going on as well. But at the time, what's interesting about, like, during the time he founded the company, Italy was kind of split in half, northern and southern Italy. There was a bit of, definitely say like a bit of clashing going on in terms of cultures, and the country was definitely divided. So there was a cyclist who actually won Tour de France in 1948.
Gino Bartelli.
Yes, indeed, Gino. And cool story about him is him winning the Tour de France in 1948 signified kind of like a unity between it. Like, everyone kind of got behind it. I think part of like what I live by is this quote by like Nelson Mandela: "Sports has the ability to change the world," which is very much true. To be able to that win signified a union between both, and at the time, having uprose from all of that.
There's a damn war, and then like post-war stuff. That's not easy.
Oh yeah, not easy. So like,
luckily we don't know. So
we don't know. Living experience. I don't think I'd be able to make it. But you know, from there we took off, and soccer became really big internationally. In the 70s, there was a what's my man's name? Roberto. He was part of not to be mistaken with Roberto Baggio at the time. This was like 1970, in the late 1970s. He actually helped design, take on some of the, like, give kind of direction to soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to create premium soccer footwear that was unlike anything else. Leathers on it was smooth. It was just butter. And at the time, Italy, I think it was 1984, I believe, that they placed fourth in the World Cup. So he was the first person to premiere these shoes. So Roberto ended up giving some insight. Roberto Tega, he ended up giving some insight to soccer cleats and pretty much helping carve out what the Diadora footwear would feel like. I mean, you had Italy, who has a rich tradition in soccer. I mean, 4 World Cups, 2006, 1982, 1938, 1934, but with 18 appearances. So he was actually the first person to have Diadora on the pitch. So that created a nice craze. And at the same time, tennis was taking off. So you had athletes like Borg, who were...
He's just Borg, man. Motherfuckers, you know who that is. Like,
you know what that is. Like, you don't even have to, like, no, Borg, you don't even have to say the full name. It was just, having elite athletes like that a part of the line. I mean, taking off in the 70s and 80s. But at that same time, we had running. We were getting into running. We had athletes such as Seb Coe, Edwin Moses, who probably one of our most popular USA athletes, who were attached to the brand. Build things around them. Jalindo Wardine, who's actually helping direct. He's directing the run channel for us. He's the only person to ever win the Olympics in the marathon. He won Seoul. He also won Boston Marathon as well. He's the only person to ever do both. Win both. It's actually 30-year anniversary. So,
I mean, that's a rich history of Italian sport, and we haven't even really gotten into Italy being known as this, like, fashion and textiles.
Yeah.
So it's like, not only do you have the athletic aspect, but you got, not every quality, but there's so many quality fashion houses coming out of Italy. So like Diadora has not only the craftsmanship, but the materials to go along with the sport. I mean, that's one of the things. Like, you're wearing a pair of Diadoras right now. What pair you got on right here?
So I have on the Mavericks, the shoe we just we relaunched. A retro shoe that came out in '87. My father actually had a pair. It was actually one of the first things when I took when I first started working with Diadora. I showed our director a picture of my father wearing Diadoras back in the '80s, and he was like, "What?"
So I bring it up because, like, when I see those, I'm like, "What?" Like you just said, because the materials are crazy. Like, it just looks like something. Like, it looks like it could be a Gucci shoe. Just it's sporty, and it's not. I always feel like Gucci athletic shoes are just ripping off real athletic shoes, but just like the quality is so there that you stop and, like, I stop and look at them every time. Like, Diadora is a great brand for somebody who, and there's a lot of these people who could care less about Nike, who just don't care about maybe like the bigger sneaker brands, because they see everybody else wearing it. You want to be original. You want to feel like you have something unique. And Diadora, from the clothing to the footwear, every time I see it, it's like, that's a good look. I'm not going to see anybody else rocking, and that makes that dude 10 times fresher. Like, that's what shoes used to be about, is just like, okay, who had the freshest fit on? Who's getting something off that, nobody else around's going to have?
But yeah.
And you can fulfill all those needs with Diadora. I mean, the footwear is crazy. From doing my research, like, Diadora has a couple different, like, big lines, like segments. You have, like, the heritage stuff, which is, in my brain, I kind of say retro, like, lifestyle. Is that a good?
So, like, the heritage line as part of Diadora is what's interesting. When you go to our headquarters in Italy, they actually had the old machinery that was there creating stuff back in the 70s and 80s.
And they're still using it to make shoes now?
Still using it. Just because quality of it, being able to really hone in on, like, those little specs versus like these newer machines. I feel like feel like they don't produce as well as the older machines were, because there was a lot more steps involved in it. So it's almost like insured.
Other brands try to bring retros back from 20, 30 years ago, and you have the original shoe from that time, and you put them side by side, and it's not the same.
Yeah.
But if you have the same machinery working on something, you're going to get a consistency of high quality that why would you want to switch it? If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. Like the soccer category you guys are still popping off of soccer, right? Or no?
Yep. So we have Brazil, which is popularized by Roberto Baggio, Zico as well from Brazil. It's a soccer boot that is literally like the heart and soul of Diadora's football division.
They've been making that for a long time, or is that a newer model?
They've been making that for a long time, since the 80s. So we're actually still holding close to that, changing a couple things around, but it's quality. I mean, back in the day, if you wore Diadora, it was like a status symbol. It was a status symbol of pitch. It was a status symbol in street culture in general. Like you talk to people over in the UK or over Europe, even in the States.
You were saying earlier, like the real B-boys back in the day were rocking Diadora.
Oh yeah. Like that was like the Maverick I have on right now. That was like the B-boy shoe. You had like people that from Rich Porter to whoever was wearing Diadora, because it was status symbol at the time. The B Elite was probably one of the more expensive court shoes you could get back in like the 80s and 90s. So, just to have that type of flair going in on not only from like, I think that was the time when like kind of like people were taking on this like tennis into streetwear.
Tennis shoes, tennies, yeah.
Yeah, that was like a thing. Because my father lived through it all. Me and my dad are like best friends, so like talked to me a lot about things, especially about like how things were back in the day. Because he ended up going to college, Hampton University, and you would go down there, and there was a bunch of people from Philly, New York, DC, and everyone had like a certain style to like it is to this day. Like a lot of people, you can kind of tell not only by a certain slang, but what someone has on, where they're from. But he was like, dude, back in the 80s, like 90s, like your uncles and me had Diadoras. Like you wouldn't believe. That was just our thing. That was definitely a Philadelphia thing, New York as well, super, super Northeast.
They were the crispy shoes.
Yes, indeed.
So, I mean, you got like crispy stuff, and then y'all are still in the outerwear, not outerwear, but like the boot stuff. There's still like the outdoor. Yeah. And those are great shoes for, especially out here in Oregon. Like, man, you're trying to be out here in the trails, trying to get your feet a little dirty, like stay comfy.
Yeah.
But, you got that going on. But we alluded to this earlier, what's really kind of powerful to me is like the running segment right now. Yeah. Like I see you all over the place just singing the Diadora running shoe song.
Oh,
and it's a good tune. I like it. It's a good song. We were messing around with the Mythos 3 earlier, right?
Yeah.
In hand.
Yep. So we saw the Mythos 3, and then I had showed you the 5 and also the Elite.
Those are crazy. So like, what's the difference between a 3? And this is more for like the people looking for maybe trying to cop a new pair of running shoes. This would be some good insight for you. But like, what's the good thing about like Diadora, like running? Like, why do I need to get a pair of Diadora shoes?
Why Diadora? That's a great question. Now I have a great answer.
Let's hear it.
So, like I said, we've always been running premium brand. We've always stuck by that motto. And what's cool about our shoes is that past maybe, I would say 3.5 to 4 years, we've been getting back in the U.S. market and Americanizing some of our shoes. And we're doing that. Our director, Bryant, he's been essential in helping teaming up with Italy to help create these amazing shoes. So Mythos 5, Mythos Militia 5 has been a big, our best seller. It's been cranking for us. We utilize a technology called Blue Shield. So what Blue Shield is, it's like, just imagine a carved out, the bottom, like a sole of a sneaker, right? It's carved out, and you slap this firm gel-like P material over top. Mm-hmm. And then there's cones in there that contour to the foot. I like to describe it as you fitting the technology versus the technology having to fit you. And it adjusts as you're going through foot strike. It adjusts and it gives you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our Mythos 5, which is our nice cushioning plus shoe, still very responsive. The Elite, Mythos Elite, which is our more categorized as our stability shoe, which is a very interesting concept. We did stability by subtraction, where we took out, and usually stability shoes are to build on the medial side.
Mm-hmm.
What we did was on the lateral side, put a lateral release point, so you will not get overcorrected. Just carry the through strike. It's a bit more rigid than the Mythos 5, and on top of that, we took a very thin layer of PU material over top of the Elite, over the top of the Elite's blue shield. So it feels great. It's super soft. Has a nice rigid feel for people who need support, but it isn't going to overcorrect you.
The thing I've been reading a lot about is that it really allows you to have soft cushion when you're not moving fast, if that makes sense. Like when you're kind of just like running at a slower pace, it feels more cushioned, but then once you do start, ponying up and going, like you feel the responsiveness. It's like, it moves with you, kind of like you were saying, like the technology works for you. Like that's been a really positive thing about the shoes. I think what I read was it's soft when slow and springy when fast.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Just because, like I said, those cones are all just contoured to your foot and allowing you to go through your foot strike as you want. So when you're just walking around, it's great, it's nice to feel, but as you're applying more force to the ground in terms of running, those cones, they have they're pretty carved out in different sizes. So you're going to feel pretty secure in the heel. Going through the arch, the cones get a little bit more denser to provide more support there. And then the forefoot, the cones widen out towards the outer sides and dense in the middle. Dense towards the medial side on the forefoot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the whole entire footbed. So you imagine just stepping on something that is completely just for your foot. We figured something that would service the majority of the run specialty market, and it's been a proven success. Everyone loves the shoe. We have a cool hip version, as we call it, that is
the fun guy version,
which is iridescent. Like when you take a picture of it, it has hidden reflective points where it pops.
Mm-hmm.
There's one shoe called the Mythos Fly, and then we have the Fly hip version of it, which literally you take a picture of this in the dark and the whole shoe reflects.
Does the shoe say it's our turn, baby?
Pretty much. It's like, come get me. We're coming for you.
No, those are fire, man. Yeah. There's a lot of good, like I keep trying to go back to the heritage stuff because that stuff's just like fire. Like the My Basketball shoe. Every time I think I've seen you wear like a pair with like an orange logo on it, like white with orange.
So you seen that was the Game Highs, but the ones I had on that you seen is actually a collab with LC23. Collab we did with Leo. It's a Charlie Brown Peanuts collab.
It's Charlie Brown orange. That's a good way of putting it. Like those things were so buttery, man. Like they remind me of like a souped up, like heavy duty, high quality like Nike blazer, but just like this flyer. It's just it's something different that I really like the way it looks.
You know what's crazy that you mentioned that shoe, and that particular model was actually Mac Miller had it on in his last music video they ever did.
Damn.
Self-Care. So
I love that song. It's a good song.
When you watch the video and he's in the you can actually see the shoe when he's in that box.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I first started working for the company.
You're like, oh shit.
And what's crazy is like, it's organic. It's all organic. It's not like we sent him it or sent a stylist or anything like that. Mm-hmm. He went out and got that shoe apparently and wore it. It wasn't like this is all organic.
And that's the appeal I see, because like I'm notorious, like I won't wear Under Armour, I won't wear Reebok. It's not my style. But what is my style is originality. And that's what I see when I see those kind of like retro basketball shoes. They're fire, man. You brought up that collab. There's one that just came out. It's an Lumineer pack.
Yeah.
It's an N9000 shoe. And those got all the crazy colors on it.
Yeah.
There's just been new stuff like that. Then there was an old bait collab you guys did with Transformers. Transform, man, that's one shoe I really, really wish I copped. I'm like a weird Transformer. Like I love my Saturday morning cartoons, and the Bait Transformer Diadora was that's a ball and act shoe.
Those were hard. They had Bumblebee, Optimus Prime, Megatron. I think probably my favorite collab with Bait. I'm an anime fan, and yeah, you just put up. They had all those packs, and they had the action figure to go with it.
Yes.
So yeah, my favorite one would be the collab we did in terms of with Bait was Astro Boy. I'm a big anime fan. I have both pairs, the Intrepid and the B Elites. That's like my thing.
Here's a random question: Where does that logo come from? Is there something to do with that, like Y looking? Is there something behind that?
Yeah, Frasio. So essentially, it's comes from when you're crafting a shoe and it has that opening. That's pretty much where it comes from.
The box on that Bait Astro Boy, it goes bananas. I mean, there's Rick and Morty too, for all like the stoners out there, like Rick and Morty. That was a crazy collab too.
So I definitely had to grab that, the keychain on the Astro Boy. There's a keychain that like came with it. Oh my gosh, like it was. I saw them and freaked out. That was huge.
And then you got like the king of collabs. I always think of him as the king of collabs. You got a Ronnie Fieg collab too.
Yeah.
And those are just, I mean, we had a collab episode a couple weeks ago and we brought up Diadora as one of the more slept on brands doing it. And like most Ronnie things, just simple, timeless, got a little bit of salmon in there, a little bit of blue.
Yeah.
But just
Sol de Rio.
People have to know more about this because there's just so many other stuff, so many other things out there than the Travis Scott collab.
Those one that we're looking at now, the Ronnie Fieg and Slam Jam collab that we did. I actually have a pair of those V7000, one of my favorites.
That was like a year ago. That was pretty recent or something.
Yeah, this one wasn't too long ago, a couple years back. But we've done collabs with you name it. You name a place we've done it. Pata, High Somebody.
I was talking about the High Snobs. Those were good.
Yeah, and they came out with the whole tracksuit. I was super fired, man.
Those V7000s are bananas.
Yeah, so the V7, what's crazy is like the V7000 and like the N9000, they're all like, like back in like the 90s, like kind of like running inspired shoes. That's what like running shoes were back in the day. So to be able to have those and champion those type of models into these collabs, you can go through them. I mean, we've had stuff with All Gone and 9000. I actually wore to SneakerCon where there was only 240 pairs made.
But the best thing about these like kind of old retro running looks is it falls back in line with what Diadora does in the beginning. It's like the quality. I mean, like there's soft suede, then there's like butter suede, and just you can really tell the difference that these were made. I mean, nothing wrong with like large produced factory made, nothing wrong with that at all. But just you get a more intimate look. Like, all right, maybe someone's grandpa made these shoes, and I mean that in a good way. I mean, just like years of experience behind what the final product is. And that might sound like a commercial, but it's not, man. That's like legitimately my biggest beef with some of the other brands is that like you're spitting out stuff with glue all over it. You're spitting stuff out with just like scuffs into suede already. Like it's not something you open the box and feel like you're getting a premium product all the time. And when you pull like those Ronnies out the box, like you feel like you're getting something. And that speaks to what Kith does too. I'm wearing a Kith sweatshirt. Like you feel like it's weighted, it's made right. Like those Diadoras are just made right.
Yeah.
Some things are made wrong, and you can tell.
You can touch it. Like when you touch certain like certain leathers, certain suedes, just materials, certain textiles in general, you can tell which is like a lot of people are like, oh, these are leather shoes. Really, they're like PU, like leather. But like this is actually like buttery smooth materials that people are using, and we've stood by that for years. Like with certain collabs, with them, all the collabs without just shoes in general. The Heritage line is great for it. I mean, when you go on Diadora.com and you see these N9000s that are part of the Heritage, a lot of these shoes are crafted in Italy.
I mean, and to me, that speaks to like the fact that there's a lot of generational like sneaker brands out there. You know, there's like the Mizuno, there's K-Swiss, but like Diadora just does it differently in a way that makes, if I had a choice between those three brands, I'm going Diadora all day personally. And it's just like, they bring something else to the table. They, as in Diadora, bring something to the table that just, it passed the old school, you know, going to Foot Locker, going to whatever store, your sneaker store you're going into, and having it in your hand and being like, this is it. This is it. And in hand is just go out there and try a pair. Get into like your local places. I mean, a lot of people don't think that, you know, that there's running shops in the local area, that there's other retailers than online, but you can go get an experience in a store.
Oh, 100%.
And find out what the product's about. And especially if you're looking for something technical, you're going to want to know those things before you pull the trigger.
And what's cool, like what we do is our shoes are run specialty only. So you're going to go to these run, especially mom and pop stores, and get this special experience. And it's been great just seeing the response from the industry. Just seeing how people have taken to it. In terms of like our casual line, we did something last year with, I know you had Terrence on here. We did colorways, and we were able to get an event going with Cam over at Index. We did Cam's Customs, where we took Diadoras and had people come in and customize them.
I was one of them. I made a pair. That was a lot of fun. I walked in and I was like, this is all for us. Like, and we'll see Sneaker Week. We're trying to get more involved, more to come on that. But we've been in talks trying to get more involved with Sneaker Week this year. And that was a real fun event. Yeah. Put a smile on my face, a good time. But so like that kind of segues into what I kind of want to finish up with here. So like, what's your role in this? I mean, so we got to understand that, you know, sport, you got to understand, you know, the history of Diadora, but like, where do those two come in together, and where does Amir play with it?
Yeah. So I ended up taking this job like fresh out. I went on and got my master's degree.
In what?
Communication studies with a certificate in entrepreneurship. So
nice.
I needed an internship to finish my degree. And at the time I was working with New Balance at one of the inline stores. So I just happened to hear that that Diadora was going to open an office in Philadelphia. So we're in Philadelphia.
I'm already here. They're coming to me.
At this old technical school where we have the science wing, where we took that over and reverted into our U.S. headquarters. It's the coolest thing. We have a rooftop bar, Mediterranean restaurant. You're a small business, like you're in there, like we're across from architects. There's like a tattoo shop above us. And this is an old school.
So we got into the community quick. It integrated pretty well.
And like this all just stemmed from a good friend of mine, Richie Rojas, who was my AM over at New Balance. He was friends with people in Diadora, and he was able to, hey, I got a guy who needs an internship for school. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I started interning, and eventually that turned into a career. And they, 25, I'm 27 now, they were like, oh, Amir, you want a job? You don't mind moving, right? At the time, I'm like, yeah, no problem. Just,
sure.
Sure. So I ended up moving 3,000 miles away to be an account manager for the West region. So what I do is I essentially help open accounts, manage them as well in terms of bookings, pre-bookings, help with launch events, any type of marketing initiatives. So I do pretty much a bit of everything. Like our team is amazing. I say this in saying that each of them has impacted me in a way, from our director, Bryant Pointer, to my regional director, Chuck Day, Alex Feldman, who's our South regional manager, Nick Valencia, who handles the Northeast, Richard McDermott, who handles the South as well. It's a small team of us.
You got to have people that make you better and that make each other better.
And everyone brings something different to the table, and we're constantly pushing each other. So, like, I honestly would say, like, with them, and also having close relationships with people in lifestyle and that do some of our lifestyle stuff, like Swoon Collective, Tiffany and Karina and Dennis Sweeting as well in lifestyle. He's been there for me, but what's crazy is I've had fortunate enough to have mentors that have kind of like helped me through this as much as I took on this position young, about to take on the West region. It was like, go out there, and do your thing. We trust you. We know you can do, you can make things happen. And I've been hustling. I've talked to my mentors, Mark Williams, when I first moved out here, who's my old, another one who's my old professor, Joe Branch, talked to him. Another old professor of mine is Clifford Benton at LIU. They've all been essential in my growth in this industry because all of them have experience in it. Like I talked to Mark Williams, who used to be the VP of Champs Sports Marketing.
Man, so many good takeaways from that. Like the biggest ones I took away from what you just said is one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't take an internship when I was in college, and I knew I wanted to be working in footwear. I knew I wanted to be around shoes, and I'd much rather, at the time, it sounded more fun going back to Vegas and partying. Like I did my summers. I had fun in summer. Like part of me does not recommend partying that hard, but there's a time and a place. But like you took the internship route, and there's always internships out there. It can be with a brand, it can be a retailer, it can be a PR firm that works with brands. There's so many routes you can take. But if you're a young person right now in school and you're hearing this, go find somewhere you can start applying your skills sooner than later.
100%. I mentor. I got a couple mentees back on the East Coast that they're trying to figure out what they want to do. They're a bit younger, but constantly like, hey, make sure you go into these career fairs. Make sure you're talking to people. I'm your mentor. Make sure you have another mentor in the game as well, just to lay things out for you and have some type of reference point. I mean, you mentioned something like, and what I like about it is every time like I hear your podcast and you talk about these different roles, because a lot of people don't know these different roles in the industry.
No.
They think like, oh, you got to be a designer or you got to be this.
Or I got to be an athlete. I got to be LeBron to make it happen.
Yeah. And it's like, there's so many facets in sports. There's so many lanes that you can go into that are all interconnected, whether it's sports, entertainment, it's music. It is all tied together. And
go Google Rock Nation, you'll see.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Joe, one of my mentors, Joe Branch, it's managing director for basketball for Rock Nation Sports. He was my professor at LIU. Now he's the assistant GM for the Timberwolves. And he's definitely made a big impact on me. My other mentor, Mark Williams, I've known him since I was a freshman in college. I met him just being an athlete. We had to go to this forum. And I was in a rush it was kind of weird because I had practice around the same time. Dude, I ended up waiting almost close to an hour just to talk to him afterwards. I was late for practice and everything. And I did not
It's
care.
worth it.
It was worth it because from there, we exchanged numbers, found out both from New Jersey, and right then and there, we've been rocking with each other for years, and he's helped like guide me through the industry.
That was the second thing, man. Like you got to have mentors, and
I want to be
you're still a young man, man. You're 27, and you have mentees and mentors. Like Nick, shout out Nick, is one of my mentors. Like you got to have people, because you don't know everything. You don't know nothing. Person listening, you don't know anything. Just I'm playing, but it's like you got to have people to help teach you the things you don't know. Like there's people who have done it and have messed up what you're trying to do, and they know what that looks like. They've succeeded in what you want to do, and they know what that looks like too. So it's just so powerful to hear, your commitment to the community, your commitment to wanting to learn more, your commitment to the brand. But just the biggest thing somebody could take away from this is that you can roll and you can live out your dream and start a career, and it can be with a brand maybe that people are more familiar with, less familiar with. It doesn't matter as long as you're becoming better and you're learning. Like your skill set now, when you're 37, you're going to know so much about the industry and working with people and working with this. You're going to have so much knowledge, and someone who's 57, you're not too old to start learning too. I mean, age is just, and it's so arbitrary, but age is just a number, one of the oldest cliches. But I mean, if you can help somebody who's 16 or 25, that's only 2 years younger than you, you're impacting somebody else's life.
You got to put down that pride a lot. I feel like a lot of people, I mean, I was there when I graduated undergrad. I thought I had everything like figured out. I was great athlete, great student, even better student, where I thought I had everything figured out. I fell flat on my face. And that was a time, that year was like a time, this before, like I took a gap year for master's, and it was like, okay, let me get myself together and really like find out. I feel like when your back's against the wall, when you're down and out, that shows who you are as a person. And you have to put the pride down and say that you know or you understand that, okay, I can do this. You got to go ask for help. Go talk to people. It doesn't matter if somebody you may not think somebody who's a director at a brand, or it could be somebody who's like working at a retail store. Everyone has a bit of knowledge that can inspire you. I mean, when I go around the accounts, and I talk to people that work at these stores and doing certain things, I love hearing about what they're doing in their personal lives. Yeah, we talk about product knowledge and everything like that. I, help them understand the story of Diadora and what we're doing. But at the same time, I'm also getting to know them as people. And I would say this: I learned something new as much as I travel around. I learned something new everywhere I go, and every person I've met, they've made an impact on me, and just how much knowledge I've obtained from being over in Europe, to being here in Portland. I'm blessed enough to fortunately meet you. Ian and everyone at Deadstock has been great. Terrence has been like an OG to me.
He is an OG.
He is an OG. He's an OG for sure. That's my guy right there. And everyone has made an impact on me and how I do things. So, bro, thank you.
You got to have open arms and open eyes.
Open eyes, man.
Open ears. I forgot to kind of end on this note. I feel kind of stupid trying to use the quotes. I don't remember who said it, but some really famous, successful person says they live every day with their back to the wall. Because when your back's always to the wall, the only way you can go is forward. You can't go backwards, because he or she has that mindset where it's like the only way to go is in front. So just keep that mindset, keep it moving. So on the outro here, where are some of the shops you can pick up some Diadora, get a Diadora experience at?
Yeah, so definitely if you're a lot of Fleet Feets carry us across the country, more specifically in the Portland area. We have Fleet Feet Portland, Fleet Feet Vancouver. They carry us. Those are some places where you can stop in and get some great technical footwear. They do a great job understanding your needs and understanding what you want to do as a runner and how they can help you. I tell everyone, stop into your local running store. Don't be one of those people that's like, oh, I can just like order something real quick. You need to go and experience this. There's something about stepping into a store that creates create a fan of the brand. I was a fan of brands because of people going into a retail space. That never gets old to me. Going and interacting, taking some knowledge from somebody and suggestions. So definitely check out your local brand specialty doors, but locally, Fleet Feet Portland.
Get off the computer. Go talk to people.
Go talk to people.
Go outside.
Face to face.
Right. That's what's up though, man. So follow Diadora, visit the website. Those are just Diadora.com.
Yep, Diadora.com. On social media, we have our Diadora lifestyle account, but also we have a team account that we created. It's called Squadra di Corsa. So it's spelled SQUADRADICORSA. I know that was a lot to take in.
We'll have it in the description.
We'll have it in the description for you.
Yeah.
But that's the squad. So I had to give them a shout out.
Of course. Where can they find you if somebody wants to see your adventures? Where are you on the internet?
They can follow me. Mine is very simple. It's very simple and straight to the point. So it's _ am.1r_. Pretty fairly easy.
That'll be in the description too. So this will all be in the description for you, for our listeners. But thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Sneaker History Podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview, and make sure you're following Sneaker History and maybe check out our Patreon sometime. So everybody have a good day. Take it easy.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, I wanted to ask a couple favors of you. If you're interested in more content from the Sneaker History crew, become a member of our Patreon page where we post daily content, drop exclusive episodes, and host monthly giveaways. We'll even help you hunt for your grails. Check us out at patreon.com/sneakerhistory. Also, make sure you sign up for our email newsletter at sneakerhistory.com/email. We send out weekly updates on the footwear business and what we're working on here at Sneaker History. Last but not least, take a second to tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how much it means to someone, and it might even plant the seeds for something even bigger. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.